again, welcome back. Welcome to your new class, class 679. I was going to say 769. No, and that's dyslexia. 679, almost 680. Let's finish. We have 3 sentences left, well, 4 words left. Dirigir un negocio is to run a business. ¿Quién dirige este negocio? Who runs this business? Aquí Marta dirige el cotarro. Here Marta runs the show. Esta expresión run the show es ¿quién manda? Who runs the show here? Who runs the show? The show must go on. The show must go on. She runs the show. I don't run the show here. She does. She's the one in charge. If you want to talk to the boss, talk to Marta. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. I can't help you. She's the one. She runs the show. She runs this business of television, to run. Ahorrar is to save. Save money, save time. Ahorrar tiempo también. Esto ahorra 10 horas. This can save 10 hours. To save time, to save money. Claro, to save es salvar también. God save the king. Ahora es el rey, Charles III. God save our gracious king. Así es, empieza the British national anthem. God save our gracious king. God save our gracious king. God save our king. 3 veces salvado el chico. Okay, God save. Pero save is ahorrar dinero, to save money. You should save 10% of your monthly salary or your monthly income. You should try to save 10% of it and invest it. And with good self-discipline, in 40 years you'll be rich. Olas, waves, las olas, the waves when you go. King Canute. You know King Canute? A rey. He was a Scandinavian king, a Viking king. And he considered himself all-powerful, todopoderoso, complete, all-powerful. And he commanded him to take his throne to the beach. The throne is el trono, en la playa misma. And he sat in his throne, and with the waves coming in, he said, "Stop. I command you to stop." And the waves continued coming. This is a true story. This is a legend of King Canute. He tried to demonstrate his power by making the waves stop, and it didn't work. He was not as powerful as God. Only God can make the waves stop. All right. So the waves, a wave. Wave has many meanings. Wave, escrito wave. Wave. Las ondas. Waves. Ondas en el aire, airwaves. Microondas, microwave oven, microwaves. Yes. Also, ondea, la bandera ondea. The flag is waving. También es ondear con la mano, saludar con la mano, to wave. To wave hello. Hi, Bobby. To wave goodbye. Goodbye, Bobby. I'm waving goodbye. To wave hello, to wave at somebody. Porque me saludas, ¿sí? Why are you waving at me? Well, because I recognized you. I don't remember your name. Hi. To wave. And finally, bien hecho. 2 ways. Una acción, well done. Ahora, si un objeto, well made. Claro, bien fabricado. This pencil is very well made. This guitar is very well made. That microphone is very well made. All right. So we have finished the vocabulary for today. And let's go on. Sigamos. Let's go on. Let's move on. Let's go on. Let's move on. Move on. Go on. Let's go on. Let's continue. También nos vale. Paragraphs. Paragraph number 165, right? Yes, paragraph 165. You know, I think we'll finish these paragraphs. I want to go more quickly. The government has approved a request from car insurance companies asking that they be exempted from paying medical and hospital costs if a driver or passenger wasn't wearing a seat belt at the time of the accident. Vaya frase más larga. The problem is that most people won't be able to pay the hospital bills. Okay, this paragraph is written thinking of the United States. Because in the United States, Social Security for the medical services doesn't exist. For retired people, yes. Medicare, yes. There's a type of Social Security or medical protection for retired people. But for people who are not retired, there's no medical protection, social, public medical protection. Usually, if you work for a company, it's mandatory for the company to offer health insurance, seguro de salud, health insurance. And it's matching 50-50. The company pays 50%, the employee pays 50%. Here in Spain, it's not matching. Here in Spain, the company pays around 86 or 87%, and the employee pays 13 or 14%. So here, it's more advantageous for the worker or the employee, and and more expensive for the company. In the US, I think it's 50-50, and it's health insurance plans. So if you haven't, for example, a serious traffic accident, it can cost a lot of money. Or if you contract a serious illness like cancer, it can cost a lot of money. Sometimes in the American movies or American television series, if a person contracts cancer, they're speaking to the doctor and calculating the total cost. It's a problem in the States. I prefer public medicine in the sense of Europe. I prefer this system to the American. American medical care is very, very good, but it's very expensive. It's very expensive. And one of the reasons it's so expensive is because of the lawyers. The lawyers, los abogados, son los culpables de los altos costes médicos. Yes, in part, because malpractice, se dice la mala práctica, errores. If a doctor makes a mistake that affects the patient goes to a lawyer, and the lawyer sues the doctor, sometimes for $5 million, $10 million, because they operate on the wrong lung. You got a problem. The $10 million. And of course, the doctor's insurance company pays the $10 million to the patient through the court, tribunales and things. Certain doctors, obstetricians, for example, baby doctors, obstetricians, surgeons, and certain other medical pay very, very high premiums. Some doctors in the United States pay more than $100,000 per year in insurance premiums to protect them in case of malpractice. And so that makes it very expensive. And then the hospitals, the same. And so if you go to a hospital for an operation, first you have to submit to many tests, too many, maybe 12 different tests to make sure that you will not respond with a problem during the operation. So that's very, very expensive. That's very, very expensive. So I prefer the public medicine here. The problem is the public medicine, if you don't have a serious case, it could be 3 months waiting for to see the doctor. 3 meses me citan, okay. That's one of the problems here is the bureaucratic administration and the management of the system. But nevertheless, I prefer the social medicine. I prefer it. A second problem is doctors. To be a good doctor, especially a specialist, it's 12 years to become a good specialist before you are practicing. And then doctors earn maybe 3,000 euros a month after studying from age 18 to age 30. And finally, they are practicing medicine freely. And if you don't have a private practice, which you say consulta privada, it's successful, it's very difficult to earn a lot of money after 12 years of preparation. So it's a problem. It's a problem. So it has to be vocational completely. It's interesting, but the government has approved a request from car insurance companies asking that they be exempted from paying medical and hospital costs if a driver or a passenger wasn't wearing a seatbelt at the time of an accident. The problem is that most people won't be able to pay the hospital bills. This is a bit difficult. The government has approved a request. Request es una petición, solicitando. Permiso, it's a request. Quiero hacer una petición. Quiero pedir algo. I want to make a request. Es una petición formal. I want to make a request. The government, y luego se aprueba o no se aprueba. The government has approved, to approve. The government has approved a request. Very good. From whom? From car insurance companies. Oh, car insurance, yeah. Seguros de coche. Las empresas. Aseguradoras. Yes. The government has approved a request from car insurance companies asking that they be exempted. Aquí está el subjuntivo al estilo latino, el estilo español. Que sean eximidos, o sea, de exento. Se dice eximir, ¿no? Eximidos, que sean eximidos. Okay. I've never said that in my life, I think. Están pidiendo que sean eximidos de pagar los costes de hospitalización y médicos de médicos. In certain cases, listen, the government has approved a request from car insurance companies asking that they, las empresas, they be exempt or exempted from paying, eximidos de pagar, exempted from paying medical and hospital costs if a driver or passenger was not wearing a seatbelt at the time of the accident. Okay. El problema es que, the problem is that most people won't be able to pay the hospital bills. Can you imagine here in Spain? Imagine that you're driving a car and you have an accident and you're seriously injured. And the police, in su atestado, the police in their analysis say that you were not wearing your seatbelt. Can you imagine if the Social Security system, then we don't pay? Can you imagine that? If you don't pay? That's not the case here. I mean, if you have an accident driving your car and you're not wearing a seatbelt and you're injured even more because of that, because of your decision not to wear a seatbelt, well, the Social Security will cover you anyway. But in the United States, the car insurance companies, I'm not sure if this is true or not. I'm not sure if this is true. But it makes sense. Tiene cierto sentido. It makes a certain degree of sense that the car insurance company says, look, we will insure Marta for her medical costs and hospitalization if she has an accident, a car accident. But if she's not wearing a seatbelt, no. All right. Now, of course, the police or similar need to prove that she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. And that's the case here. So the government, aprobado ya esta petición. The government has approved a request from car insurance companies asking that they be exempted from paying medical and hospital costs if a driver or passenger wasn't wearing a seatbelt in a momento at the time of the accident. At the time of the accident. The problem is that most people won't be able to pay the hospital bills. Yeah, this is a problem because if you're in an accident, seriously injured, critically injured, and you've lost consciousness, well, they take you to the hospital, to the emergency, and they spend 3 hours with you or 7 hours. And then when you wake up, if you don't have any money, you can't pay. And it's a dilemma in the United States in these cases. It's a dilemma. One more time, the government has approved a request from car insurance companies that they be exempted from paying medical and hospital costs if a driver or a passenger wasn't wearing a seatbelt at the time of the accident. The problem is that most people, the majority, most people won't be able, no podrán, won't be able to pay the hospital bills, las facturas de hospitalización. They won't be able to pay the hospital bills. All right, paragraph 165 is over. Paragraph 166. Do you mean you don't have anyone to stay with the baby when you go shopping? Huh? Do you mean you leave the child alone at home? Do you realize what could happen? The child's only 1.5 years. The most common cause of infant accidents is negligence on the part of the parents. Yeah. I can't believe this person. ¿Será posible? ¿Te das cuenta de lo que pasa aquí? Yeah. Do you mean that you leave? Do you mean? ¿Quieres decir que? Do you mean? Así, esa entonación cuando. Pero ¿quieres decir que dejas al niño solo en casa? Do you mean you no tienes a nadie que esté con el niño? Do you mean you don't have anyone to stay with the child, with the baby? Do you mean you don't have anyone to stay with the baby when you go shopping? Do you mean you leave the child alone at home? Do you realize what could happen? Your child is only 1.5 years, 18 months old. The most common cause of infant accidents is negligence on the part of the parents. Negligencia, negligence, por parte de los padres, on the part of the parents, casi igual que en castellano. Negligence on the part of the parents, the most common cause, la causa más común. The most common cause of infant accidents. Infant means bebé muy pequeño. Infant, infancia. Pero no se dice aquí infante. Infante es la princesa, la infanta, el infante, el príncipe. But you say, claro, se dice infancia, infantil, pero no se dice infante. Solo es un infante. It's only an infant. In English, yes. Wow. It's an infant child. Se dice niño infante. That means es un niño muy pequeño. Tiene semanas. It's an infant. And infant mortality. Mortalidad infantil también se dice. We say infant mortality. The infantile también es, no seas infantil, pueril. Don't be infantile. Okay. Infant. The most common cause of infant accidents is negligence on the part of the parents, which is probably true. Do you mean, apparently here, there's a woman, I think it's a mother, who goes shopping and leaves her little baby, at home alone. ¿Será posible? I can't believe it. Yeah. Do you mean you don't have anyone to stay with the baby? Permanecer con el niño? Do you mean you don't have anyone to stay with the baby when you go shopping? Do you mean you don't have anyone to stay or to take care of the baby or to look after the baby or to stay with the baby when you go shopping? Do you mean you leave the child alone? Do you mean you leave the child alone at home? Home alone. También se puede decir, do you mean you leave the child home alone? Alone at home? Do you realize what could happen? Do you realize what could happen? ¿Qué podría ocurrir? Do you realize what could happen? The child is only a year and a half, 18 months. The child is only a year and a half old, pero old aquí, opcional. The child is only a year and a half. Yeah. The most common cause of infant accidents is negligence on the part of the parents. Negligence, negligencia, to neglect. Yeah. The verbo is to neglect, means no prestar atención. Caso omiso, to neglect. Negligence. You don't have a verb for neglect. No hay verbo. You have negligencia, yes, but you don't have to neglect. All right, one more paragraph. How much time, Marta? How much time do we have? Do we have time? Yes. Paragraph 167. Crying won't help, that's for sure. What you need to do is prepare your arguments, practice your presentation, and go back with a positive attitude. Make them feel your presence by acting confidently and not letting them interrupt you whenever they feel like it. All right. Here we have one person giving advice to another. One person is giving advice to another. And what kind of advice? Well, for me it's useless advice. Well, it's correct advice, but I think it's a waste of time. Crying won't help, that's for sure. El llorar no ayudará, eso seguro. Okay. Cry. Oh, what's the problem, Johnny? Why are you crying? So they didn't pay any attention to you. They didn't listen to your presentation. They didn't give you the opportunity to present the product. Well, crying won't help. No llores, llorar, ¿para qué sirve? Crying won't help, that's for sure. Eso dalo por seguro. That's for sure. Crying won't help. Why are you crying? I'm crying. Well, don't cry, come on. Crying won't help, that's for sure. What you need to do, el consejo, lo que tienes que hacer, o lo que necesitas hacer, what you need to do is prepare your arguments. Argumentos de venta. These pencils are the best pencils in the world. With these pencils, you automatically become an excellent English teacher. These pencils will penetrate into you and spiritually lift you and will make you become the best English teacher in the world. Without these pencils, you're nothing. But with these pencils, you are the best. Oh, wow, Richard, how much? Okay. Yeah, your arguments. You need to prepare your arguments. Yeah, you need to prepare your arguments. Practice your presentation. Ensáyalo. Practícalo means ensáyalo aquí. You need to prepare your arguments. Practice your presentation and go back, vuelve a verles, with a positive attitude. Come on, man. Crying won't help. Stop crying. Be strong. It's easy to say, but with a weak person, it's very difficult to make a weak person strong. And strong people make weak people weaker. Don't surround a weak person. If you want to strengthen a weak person, don't surround him with strong people, because they will make the weak person even weaker, you see. I mean, if you have a person, if this person is strength category 10 in strength, fortaleza categoría 10, es persona fuerte. Fuerte, I don't mean physically, I mean psychologically strong. And this person is strength 3. Well, this person cannot help this person. In the presence of this person will probably fall to category 2. However, if we bring a person of category 2, this person will naturally become the leader and this person is only category 3 in strength. But being a leader will move this person perhaps to category 4. And so if you want to strengthen a weak person, surround the person with even weaker people, and they'll become stronger. They'll become stronger. For example, in sports, the weakest player on the Real Madrid, for example, the worst player, you put him in Segunda B, and he'll blossom and become the leader. Because he's the best player in el nuevo equipo de Segunda B. He's number 1, and he'll begin to develop his skills, and he'll become more confident. Then you move him up to Segundo A, and then back up. And you can strengthen the person. But I'll come back with this paragraph more tomorrow.